So the year is 2023 and we decided to play Sekiro for the first time. So Sekiro is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. So me and Bobby this year made a little challenge about who would finish Sekiro first. I had played Sekiro in 2019, huge FromSoftware fan. I got to the very final boss and didn't beat him and gave up. So Bobby, a recent Elden Ring fan, decided to give Sekiro a go. If you're unfamiliar with Sekiro, it is a FromSoftware game. That's right, the guys behind Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, and of course Elden Ring. The significance of Sekiro can't be understated. It won Game of the Year in 2019. It is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of sword combat. I'm sure Bobby agrees with me. So obviously, if you play the likes of Neo, and it's funny because Neo is obviously a kind of a, I was going to say Asian, but it's obviously a kind of samurai sword kind of combat game. And obviously, the recent years we've gotten the likes of that Sony game. I was going to think Ghost of Tsushima. So with Sekiro, it's different than your typical Souls game. Obviously, it's sword combat. You're a samurai. Are you a samurai?
You're
or
a
is it
shinobi.
a shinobi? So funny enough, and I'm going to tell you a little story here. When this game was first teased back, I believe it was the Game Awards, everyone was convinced that this game was Tenchu, you know, the PS1 game.
Yeah.
So FromSoftware own the Tenchu IP. There's a bit of trivia for you. So think about like a shinobi, not going to be really stealthy though, but a game that has a lot of kind of parrying, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second. But just a really kind of combat-driven Souls-like, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So when you first put it on, what was your initial impressions though? Did you gel right away with it?
No, definitely not. Definitely did not gel right away with it. So going from Elden Ring, I obviously use magic, which if you've watched our videos, you'll know. I'm not going to sit on for that. So going in, and it was just completely just skill-based combat. It was completely different from what I was used to. And I think because come from Elden Ring as well with dodging and things like that there, I was kind of going in with that mentality. And that it just doesn't work when you go into that kind of fighting style.
Yeah.
Whereas
And
this here, it's all about parrying, it's all about timing your blocks, being aggressive, and just kind of, it's like a dance almost, just kind of trying to approach it like that.
Yeah, and obviously, in terms of like how it looks as well, like the graphic styles, I like the graphics in the game. It's a lot different than what you're getting with the fucking medieval theme of Dark Souls and such. But in terms of, we both played on, was it both PlayStation 5? So if anyone hasn't played it, playing on PS5 is great because it's 60 FPS now. It was always uncapped, but I think on PS4 Pro back in the day, it was like 35 to 40 FPS. So Series X and PS5, you can play at 60. That's where I originally played, how I originally played the game was 60 FPS on PC. Yeah. So playing this at 30 would be shocking. But no, so going from there, obviously, early impressions, I really actually like the game. Like, I think to me, it is the best sword combat in any game. But take me through, like, so you put it on. When is it you started to kind of gel with it?
But when I was actually kind of getting annoyed with it was, it was because I didn't understand it. So I got the bit, and it's quite at the start where you get your first bell.
Yeah.
And you go back to Harada Estate, and there's these guys with shields, and I did not know how to get past them. They kept hitting me, and I was like, I just couldn't break their shield. But it turned out it was actually something that I got for the shinobi arm with the axe, and I went back and put that on, and that's actually what it destroys their shield straight away. So I've done that there, and then further on up a wee bit, you come across the spear guy. It's like a wee mini boss.
Yeah.
And we were kind of talking at this point as well about it, and I was like, how the fuck do you beat him? And it turned out you needed a skill. So Sekiro, it's an RPG, but it's not points and leveling system. The only things that you actually level is your skills, and it's just your skills pretty much. Actually, you can level up your attack power and your vitality pretty much, but that's kind of, you need certain things for that. It's not like level based as such. But yeah, so when I got there was a skill I needed, Makiri counter, and when I got that there, and I went straight away and I beat him first time, because you were like, when the symbol comes up, that's when he's going to do his kind of jab. You need the Makiri for it. You do that there. You kind of put your foot down on it, and then that's when you can get the attack on him, and it does a whole load of posture damage because you and your enemies have posture as well, which is completely different from a Souls game. Well, an actual bar, and you kind of have to break that down. You break that down, and you get like a killing blow on them. So it started to click a wee bit there, but it wasn't until further on before one of the kind of the Pinnacle main boss that someone would say, like, if you get to him, if you can beat him, you can beat the game, which is Genichiro. It was before him, just the wee boss, you know, before you go up to him. And it's kind of like maybe like a wee sample of what you're going to get with Genichiro. And that's when it actually clicked for me, like completely just the combat. Just as soon as I done that fight, that was me. I knew what I was doing going forward. So that's the kind of the moment that it clicked for me, the combat.
Yeah, see the whole. I remember first playing it. This is 2019, and I was obviously coming off Dark Souls. See, learning that deflect, because I never would have parried in Dark Souls whatsoever. It was never really a thing. It was too awkward, the timing. But you see, when you kind of learn that, especially on Genichiro, which took me originally, he was 2 nights, I think it was, maybe 2 nights, to actually play it and learn it. But you see, once you learn it, like them games are, like you said, it's a fucking dance. It's absolutely unreal. I hope we see another game like that again. I think the probably next game we're going to see.
We need a Sekiro too. Like, we need it. Like, this combat. See the combat in this game. It's probably the best. Not just sword combat. It's the best combat I've ever played in a game. Like, hands down.
It is phenomenal.
It's just. I think it's perfect. I really do. I genuinely think it's perfect. I think it would be an absolute sin for us not to get something else from FromSoft, whether that's a Sekiro 2 or whether it's something different along them kind of lines. With just this combat, there's none of the RPG bullshit. We have to level up and choose weapons and things like that. You get one weapon, and everything else is just down to skill.
Just get good. Yeah, that's what I like about it. So when it first released, people were unhappy almost. They were saying that it's too hard. It was hard, but it was just learning that type of game. But obviously people were saying it wanted an easy mode, and FromSoftware just wouldn't give in. You know, you had to actually learn the game, which I think is absolutely spot on. You should do that. Like, that's what Lies of P, that's what annoyed me with the nerfing and stuff. It's like, if you have this type of game, the one thing that should be somewhat you're not going to relinquish on is balance. You know, yes, some people might get tiny nerfs here and there or quality of life, but you shouldn't have to change up a whole game's balance, because that's, you know, if Lords of Fallen right now, if that has to go through balance changes, that would annoy me. That would put me off. Whereas with Sekiro, when I played it, it felt exactly like I played it recently. So I struggle once again on Lady Butterfly, who I think that is probably where I learned the parries once again. Although I fought her really early.
Fought her too early, yeah.
Yeah, you can fight her, you know, you can fight her later on, but we actually fought her at the start. But I honestly, mate, it is the most addicting, fun game, and I can see why people just would shy away. I actually don't know if it's maybe too hard for people. That's the issue, that maybe with not saying it's an issue with a sequel, I don't think they'll do that, but I think that's the issue with this compared to even Dark Souls, because you can overlevel. You can just ease it.
Cheese it pretty much with just by leveling up.
Yeah, you're not getting this.
Whereas this here, it's just solely based on skill, and I fucking loved it. It's one of my favorite games of all time now, 100%.
What about the resurrection feature? Because that wasn't done before. So like, you die and you get the second life. Like, that's something that you never had in any Souls game. And obviously with Lords of the Fallen that we're both playing at the moment, they've taken that into, kind of brought that in like that. And then the fact that you can also regenerate that during a fight, which a really hard boss can. So you can almost have.
At the end of the day, thinking about that, that's actually quite forgiving, really, when you think about it, isn't it?
I think the problem is it's quite late on where you get extra ones, maybe.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously in Souls games, if you die, you lose your souls. You have to go and kind of retrieve them. If you die on the way to them, or you lose them all completely. Where Sekiro is a wee bit different. You lose half when you die, no matter what. Half of your money and it's money. It's pretty much money that levels up things. You lose half of that there, and half of your it's skill that actually goes up. Skill points that actually you get instead. So that's what unlocks your skills. Do you remember at the top right? So you would have had a level system, and that would have been your skill points. So you will lose half of that experience every time you die, along with half of your money.
So I didn't even realize. To be honest,
so that's kind of a wee bit of a different take on it. It is kind of, I don't know if it's worth. It's kind of just it levels out, really. I suppose. In the Dark Souls you have a chance to go back and get them, but this one, if you die, that's it. You've lost half your stuff, half your shit.
I like the whole what was the unblockable? So you had like an unblockable that was a jump, a dodge back, and what was the other one? What was it? It was your dodge, jump back, Makiri counter. Oh, like when you put off a Makiri counter, especially in some of the later boss fights that we'll get into, it is phenomenal. Like that Makiri counter is so, the noise, you know what I mean?
See when it just hits, and it's like, see, especially when it's like a real fast-paced fight, and you're just boom, 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 back and forth, kind of attacking, parrying, and then the Makiri comes in, you do that there, and you're straight on the attack again. It's fucking phenomenal.
Oh, it's like you're on automated mode as well, though. Do you notice that? It's like completely just learning the boss inside out. And we'll get into bosses in a second, but with story side of things, This was obviously a lot different because with other FromSoft games, story wasn't really front and center. You had item descriptions or things like that to kind of get your story.
Yeah.
With this, obviously, there's a lot more NPCs kind of talking to you who are main characters and giving kind of exposition. I was going to say.
Quite linear compared to the other games and quite straightforward, like narrative and stuff.
Yeah.
Quite clear objectives as well, I would say, compared to like Souls games in Elden Ring. Because Elden Ring, I know you haven't beat Elden Ring, but a lot of side stuff in it. It's just kind of, you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going or where you're going to meet a character again. Whereas this here, I found it was quite clear in what you had to do to kind of progress the characters, their side quests and things like that.
And see, to be fair with side quests in Souls games, it's not, I'll do them, but I'm not seeking them out if it just happens naturally. But
yeah,
I don't really like the vagueness, I personally. But no, I actually like the story here. Obviously, you learn about Ishin and kind of the history there and so on. But
three different endings as well.
Yeah, I think we should say you platinumed the game.
Did.
You beat it twice, didn't you?
3 times.
Oh God. Well, 3 times then.
Yeah.
So you declare yourself the Sekiro God.
Yes.
So the Sekiro God.
The bearded shinobi.
The bearded shinobi. Fuck. But yeah. Do you think right? Because obviously we have a friend who played the game and just can't. Do you think the difficulty is too much?
It's hard for me to say because I found this game quite easy.
Yeah.
We've kind of discussed this before, whereas I don't really have a Souls background and you do. So, you know, you're going in with that kind of mentality and kind of muscle memory, if you want to call it. Whereas I'm kind of going in fresh and just as like an actual Sekiro player, because even in Elden Ring I use magic, so I'm going into this just learning from day one. So I don't have that role or anything, you know, in my head. So I did find it easy. Like Genichiro beat him second time. I beat even the final boss quite easily. You even watched me when we were doing that though, and you were like, fuck, like, how are you making that look so easy? I was like, I don't know, it's just, but I think I was a wee bit more tactical, whereas you were just like straight in there.
Yeah, and we always talk about this, about Bloodborne, I think made me that. Like, how did you, obviously we tried a wee bit of Bloodborne, but just kind of to get into that. Did you find Bloodborne easier or harder?
It's not really that, it was hard. It was hard for me to kind of get into that game style.
Yeah, it's totally,
that's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it forces you to be like just full on fucking aggressive to try and, because obviously you take chip damage and it wants you to just keep attacking really to try and get that back. That's kind of not kind of my playstyle, whereas I'm kind of more a wee bit strategical and tactical.
I almost play like where I need perfection, almost like I can't mess up certain ones that's being that aggressive. That, you know, how I have a video up on YouTube about me fighting Father Owl and it's completely in his face the whole time.
Yeah. But
it's risk reward, but it's just how I play. I don't know.
Then that's completely different to how I took it, like, you know.
Yeah. So clearly your way's better. It's just that's just the way I play it. I don't know. I can beat the games, but probably takes longer. It's probably less sensible. But
yeah.
There's more risk
in yours. There's more risk involved in yours.
Yeah, that's what happened with Evolve for about an hour and a half. But it's weird. Like that's something to be said as well, that you can have different play styles. Like,
yeah,
you are quite, even the fact that this is Sekiro and it's a totally different game than Dark Souls, you can still be quite tactical in your combat, whereas I'm just constant on them trying to get the deflect bar or posture damage in as quick as possible. So yeah, but fair play to you. Obviously done extremely well in the game and you're obviously loving it, so that's great as well. Let's talk about boss fights. So give me your 3 top boss fights or even like kind of memorable encounters in the game.
Right, so the hardest one for me, I'll start off with the hardest, and that was Inner Ishin, which is one you didn't do.
Oh,
that's the one you watched me do to get the Shura ending.
Yeah,
I found him really, really difficult. I think it took me like 50 minutes to actually beat him.
Right.
But because you went in, you had your first phase, which was Emma, and then you had to fight him twice. And his second phase was kind of really, really, really tough because he added
fire, wasn't it?
Fire, yes. There were certain wee bits I figured out towards the end. There were certain wee bits of actually snow on the ground that you could kind of hold off on while the fire was about. But even at that there, he still tried to keep on attacking you. So he was probably the hardest one for me to actually. It was one that gave me the most bother, like the one that took the longest to actually beat. And I had to beat the bastard twice to play through. Probably one that sticks out would be Guardian Ape. I really enjoyed that one.
Guardian Ape wasn't too bad. It annoyed me originally. It wasn't even too hard, but you remember when you go into the cave and there's 2 of them, I thought, fuck this. But yeah, Guardian Ape was good fight. It was fun.
It was more of a Souls boss, I think. The same with
Demon of Hatred.
Demon of Hatred, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people struggle with Demon of Hatred. Ishin, I think the final Sword Saint Ishin was ridiculous. Like, I think by the time I beat him though, it was like perfect, in terms of just knowing them inside out. But
Yeah.
that first time I ever fought Genichiro, I remember, I wasn't alone. I obviously when I play a game, I go on Reddit and I follow the game's subreddit page, and people just have discussions, and it's always good. It's not spoilery or anything. People are just kind of talking about certain things, and everyone was just saying like that's the part where it clicks, because you have to learn the deflection, and you're learning everything. And obviously, there's the part where you can jump and you can kind of throw the lightning back at Genichiro. But absolutely fantastic. Like the game is superb.
And that mechanic's also in the last boss fight too, with the lightning.
Yeah. And the one thing I would say about this game that you would kind of touched on there, the level design, it is more linear. There is parts where kind of it does interweave back to the start, but it's not really built that way. But you do kind of, I think at the very end of the game when there's the battle, the bridge, you can go from the bridge to the bridge, can't you? Where the big snake was and stuff. So I love the world.
There's very vertical level design as well, because obviously you've got your grapple hook.
Yeah. Oh, fuck the grapple. I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah, which is fantastic for like vertical exploration and kind of getting advantage with stealth and things like that too, if you're going for more of a stealthy playthrough. But it's unbelievable. Like the actual level design itself is fantastic, just kind of mythical, kind of Japanese, ancient, incredible.
So overall, I would say it's probably the top 10 games for me, maybe of all time, maybe top 5.
I would say top 5 for me. Like,
what could it be doing better? What could it do better?
God, I don't know. For me personally, I would just like the story a wee bit more in my face, kind of like what Liza P done it. A wee bit more cutscenes and things like that there, and just easier to kind of digest. But that's just something for me, just kind of wanting to be a wee bit more engaged with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Combat and all, I honestly can't fault the combat whatsoever.
Yeah. Maybe more intricate level design. See, this is where I get weird. I don't want shortcuts for the sake of having shortcuts. I don't like Liza P did that, where you had lots of shortcuts, and it's not shortcuts for shortcuts' sake, but having just good level design that just interweaves. Doesn't have to be too much, but just kind of a bit more smartly done would be something that would be nice. But I honestly think the game, especially if you are a Souls fan and you haven't played this game, this is FromSoftware's second best game.
You were going to say best there, but your love for Dark Souls is stopping it, isn't it? I think it's their best that I've played. I've only played Sekiro, Elden Ring, and Dark Souls, and I didn't think anything would top Elden Ring, but this analysis, this is number 1.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think if you are kind of maybe not even you've shied away from software games because people always say obviously get good and they're too hard. It is hard, it's challenging. If you are stuck, if you're patient, you'll actually beat it. And when you do kind of beat it, you'll look back and think, okay, actually, you know what? When you play a boss and you think, I cannot beat this, don't be in a rush. Just play it. Patience is key. That was something that Bobby lacked. Remember, you had no patience for games, and look at you now.
Yeah, actually, just to go on to that patience kind of thing, there was a bit where I actually uninstalled the game, which was it was before Genichiro, kind of working your way up towards the castle, and they had them like samurai fucks at the top. And I got the whole way around, killed them all, and then one knocked me down. So I had to obviously do the whole thing again, and I turned it off and uninstalled it, and that was me about to be done with it. And then I went back and just had a wee bit more patience with it, and it clicked. The minute I got to the top of that castle, that was the fight I had where everything just clicked for me. So patience is key, like, for this game, 100%.
Yeah. So look, if you like the video, write in the comments, let us know what your impressions are in Sekiro. Are we right? Do you disagree with what was said? And let us know obviously your favorite FromSoft game.